Again, Shawn Michaels. The rumor is he's coming back tomorrow night to the World Wrestling Federation. Would you like to see him in the New World Order? Would you like to see him as a part of DX? What do you want to see Shawn Michaels' role in the World Wrestling Federation? If any, maybe you don't want Shawn Michaels back. Maybe you just don't like the Heartbreak Kid. Let me know. 866-910-WPFB. More in a minute. We'll be back in a sec. Right back here on the Wrestling Guys. AM 910 WPFB.
It starts with your stuffy nose and spreads till your head feels all blocked up. Your body feels stiff and achy. That's how you feel when you have a bad cold all blocked up.
Introducing new Alka-Seltzer Plus, the only cold medicine with a new effervescent cold-fighting formula to break up nasal congestion and release you from your worst cold misery. New effervescent Alka-Seltzer Plus breaks up your worst cold. Use as directed.
Do you know where some of the finest glass in the world was produced? Here are 2 hints. It's another Ohio antique and not too far from Middletown. In Newark, Ohio, from 1895 to 1954, Heisey Glass produced wonderful glass articles such as pitchers, bowls, and plates. Heisey Glass was made in clear and color such as that ever-popular pink. You know, it just has the look of quality. When you hold a pitcher made by Heisey, it has a heavy feeling. Not too heavy, but just enough weight to make you realize this is good stuff. Too bad the company went out of business in 1954. It is easy to spot Heisey Glass. Just turn a piece over, look for an H inside a diamond. Here in Ohio, it's been collected forever, so it's not as plentiful as you might think, and it's a little pricey. A Heisey pitcher from the 1930s can sell for hundreds of dollars, but it still can't stop us from appreciating Heisey Glass.
Your 910 WPFB forecast for the 10-day corridor tonight, increasing cloudiness, low 42. Thursday, partly cloudy, chance of showers, high 58. Friday, partly cloudy, breezy, high 66. Right now, it's 54. We've got boys high school basketball tournament action this weekend. Lebanon takes on Winton Woods Saturday night at 7 here on 910 WPFB.
You're listening to the Wrestling Guys on the station that's a part of your life, AM 910 WPFB. Back here on the Wrestling Guys, AM 910 WPFB. My name is Shawn Stidham. Our toll-free number again, 866-910-WPFB, 866-910-WPFB. Couple of passings to let you know about in the wrestling world. Tony Gonzalez, who was known for many, many years as the Medic, was found dead at his home in Alabama just the other day. There was actually a reunion of Gulf Coast Wrestling. They were going to give him a reward on Saturday. He didn't appear for that, and they went to his home and found him dead. He was originally from Texas. He spent many years working in the South. No other details available at this time. Obviously, want to send up condolences to his friends, fans, and family. Also, former World Wrestling Federation developmental talent and a part of Ohio Valley Wrestling. A guy who used to be known as Slick Robbie D. Passed away in Los Angeles at a very young age. I think he was 26 or 27, just a sad story. And also a wrestler from Maryland, Dino Casanova, passed away just the other day as well. So not a good week as far as that goes in the wrestling world, and obviously we want to send our condolences to all of their friends, fans, and family on behalf of the Wrestling Guys. For the latest wrestling news, don't forget, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, you can call the Wrestling Guys hotline, 937-285-0991. Let's quick go to the phones real quick. Oh, can't go to that phone call, so anyway. 866-910-WPFB, 866-910-WPFB is our phone number. Quick programming note, don't forget this Saturday, boys high school tournament basketball returns to AM 910 WPFB as the Lebanon Warriors battle Winton Woods, game time 7 o'clock, right here on the station. That's a part of your life, AM 910 WPFB. Pretty funny story from Dave Meltzer in the Wrestling Observer newsletter about Hulk Hogan when he was backstage with the World Wrestling Federation in Los Angeles at SmackDown a few weeks back. Hogan went up to Charles Wright. For those of you who don't know, Charles Wright is the wrestler that portrays the Godfather. Been around in the World Wrestling Federation for quite some time. Hogan went up to Charles Wright and said, "Hey, Papa Shango, I love your work." Now, Wright has not been Papa Shango for about 8 years. Now, the locker room kind of dropped their jaws, and as Hogan left, they kind of were snickering that Hogan's out of it and doesn't really follow the stories anymore, and the fact that, you know, Charles is now known as the Godfather and has been for quite some time. I think Hogan's in on this because he's went up to a lot of wrestlers and done that, referred to them as a gimmick that they haven't had for a few years. Hogan's not the dummy everybody portrays him as. Certainly there's been a lot of criticism about Hogan and how he was in WCW, and some of it's very valid, but in this case, Hogan likes to pull a good prank now and then. I think he's in on the joke more so than anybody else. 866-910-WPFB. I tell you what, we'll go ahead and give away one of those videos. You call in 866-910-WPFB. We'll break for the news. My name is Shawn Stidham. This is The Wrestling Guys on the station that's a part of your life, AM 910 WPFB.
Do you know where your news is?
910 WPFB. I'm Dwight Smith, 910 WPFB News. Franklin City Council passing legislation to make it easier to find qualified firefighter help. Mayor Greg Sample saying Chief Jonathan Westendorf presented council with that problem last month.
The legislation that we passed simply broadens the area from which the chief can recruit candidates. He can go outside the city of Franklin now to try to find qualified part-time firefighters.
Sample saying current legislation had restricted the chief from doing just that to beef up his force.
The bottom line was we want to make sure that we have a full staff of people, a full complement of people at the firehouse when the alarm goes off and they need to respond to a fire. We don't want to get caught in a situation where we don't have enough qualified individuals who can respond to that emergency.
Sample saying the city is not short of firefighters and the main priority would be still to hire within the city. Due to some last-minute conflicts, it was not possible for a quorum of Middletown Board of Education to meet this morning in their search for a new head person, with the board rescheduling a special meeting for Thursday morning to continue their search for a new superintendent. The board meeting last week to interview 7 candidates. The Kentucky grand jury declined to indict a mother who admitted shooting a man who accused of molesting her son. 40-year-old Jamie Hutchins of Covington has admitted shooting 40-year-old Larry Howell of Erlanger in the groin and side on November 27th. Howell is charged with 9 counts of sodomy and is jailed on $250,000 bond. Investigators say Howell had improper sexual contact with at least 30 boys. Howell denies the allegations. Prosecutors say the grand jury's decision was disappointing and gave Hutchins a free pass for the shooting. Your 910 WPFB forecast for the Sin-Day corridor. Tonight increasing cloudiness, low 42. Thursday partly cloudy, chance of showers, high 58.
And now back to Wrestling Guys on the station that's a part of your life, AM 910 WPFB.
Back here on the Wrestling Guys, AM 910 WPFB. Congratulations to our winner, Candy. She's on the line. Candy, how are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm doing okay. Thanks for tuning in tonight.
Thank you.
So you have an opinion now about WrestleMania. So far we've heard that some people think The Rock and Hogan should be the main event. Other guys said Austin and Scott Hall. And you're going the other way. You're going Triple H and Jericho.
Right.
Why is that?
I think they owe it to Triple H after they botched his return.
Now, why do you think they botched his return? He came back. He won the Royal Rumble.
Well, it wasn't all that great of a return for him, I don't think.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And you're a big fan of the game.
Absolutely.
Now, what about Shawn Michaels? People think that maybe he should come back into the New World Order, maybe bring back DX.
DX.
With Triple H and with X-Pac and...
No. Let Triple H, have his own time.
So who should be a part of DX then?
I would say X-Pac. I really want to see the Road Dogg back, but I don't think that's going to happen.
No, I don't think so either. So, anyway, well, Candy, congratulations. We got a video going out your way, and we appreciate the phone call. Thank you for listening.
Okay, thank you.
All right, take care. 866-910-WPFB is our phone number. If you've got an opinion you want to share with us. Quick story about the Road Dogg. You all know about the Road Dogg. He was supposed to be at the WWA pay-per-view a couple of weeks ago and then didn't show up. The Road Dogg called Andrew McManus, the owner and promoter of the WWA, and apparently told him that the reason he was not there was that he was in jail for a parole violation down in Pensacola, Florida. Now, the only problem with that story, well, there's 2 problems. First of all, McManus called the Pensacola Police Department. They had no records of an arrest on the Road Dogg Jesse James. The other problem was that the Road Dogg apparently had been telling people for the last 2 or 3 months that he would not be able to appear at the pay-per-view because of personal problems. Despite telling people this, Road Dogg still took an advance from Andrew McManus, and of course, it's a non-refundable advance, so not a good sign for the Road Dogg Jesse James. 866-910-WPFB is our phone number. Welcome to the Wrestling Guys. Who's this?
James.
Hey, James, how are you?
Fine, how are you doing?
Good. What do you want to talk about?
I just think the main event should be probably Rock and Hogan, because I think that's going to get the most pop.
You see, that's what I'm thinking, too. You got Hogan coming back to WrestleMania, and you sound like you're probably in your late 20s, James?
You could say that.
Are you like, I'm hoping, I wish I was in my late 20s?
I'm right there with you, just put it that way.
All right, okay. I'm sorry then. Anyway, the thing with Hogan is, for so many years, there was no way you could have a WrestleMania without Hulk Hogan.
Exactly.
That was his event, and for him to come back to this is huge. It's the old guard against the new guard, And but still, there's part of a traditionalist in me that wants to see the world title be the final match at WrestleMania.
Right.
You know, so
also, I think that when Hogan and Rock did that first promo, I think they both got good pops, so I think it'll be really hyped up.
Who do you think? I mean, when they did that promo, there was almost as many Hogan chants as there were Rock chants.
It sounded like it was probably 50-50 to me.
Yeah, so it's going to be real interesting what happens in Toronto. So
it should be really good.
We should.
I'm looking forward to it.
James, you want a video?
Sure.
I think we can set you up. Hang on the line, all right?
All right, thank you.
All right, our toll-free number is 866-910-WPFB. More when we come back. This is the Wrestling Guys on the station that's a part of your life, AM 910 WPFB.
Your credit card balances keep going up, but you can only afford to pay the same amount each month? With high interest rates, it's easy for credit matters to quickly turn into debt problems before you fall further behind. Call Dedicated at 1-800-962-9797. Dedicated is a non-profit credit counseling organization that offers help for consumers who are ready to eliminate their debt. If you have more than $2,000 in debt, just call Dedicated and they can help you pay off your bills in as little as 1/4 of the time you normally could. They may be able to eliminate interest charges, late and over-the-limit fees, even reduce your monthly payments as much as 50% and consolidate them into just one manageable payment a month. So call Dedicated for a free debt consultation at 1-800-962-9797. It's completely confidential and there's no obligation. So call Dedicated now, 1-800-962-9797. That's 1-800-962-9797.
And now back to Wrestling Guys on the station that's a part of your life, AM 910 WPFB.
Back here on the Wrestling Guys on AM 910 WPFB. Congratulations to James Barron. He picks up a WWF home video as well, courtesy of our good friends at WWF Home Video. Our toll-free number is 866-910-WPFB, 866-910-WPFB. Our topics tonight include what do you think the main event of WrestleMania should be, Rock and Hogan, Y2J and Triple H, or Stone Cold Steve Austin and Scott Hall. Your thoughts on that? Also, the return of Shawn Michaels. It's being rumored that will happen tomorrow night at SmackDown. Do you want to see Michaels back? If so, in what role? Do you want to see DX? Do you want to see him with the New World Order? Your thoughts on that? Again, the toll-free number is 866-910-WPFB, 866-910-WPFB. A couple of other notes. The World Wrestling Federation is working on a box set, and this one's pretty good. A box set of CDs that will include all of the popular theme songs from the late 80s to now. All the popular entrance themes that different wrestlers have had will be available in a box set. That is slated to come out sometime in June, and hopefully we'll get a few copies of that we can slide over to you so you can let us know what you think of that. Other stories. Tough Enough 2 last week debuted on MTV, garnered a 1.6 rating. And so far, I think Tough Enough 2 is pretty good. I like the setup so far, and I think it's going to be really interesting to watch. Let's go back to the phone lines. Welcome to the Wrestling Guys. Who's this?
Hello?
Hello, who is this?
The Undertaker guy.
Undertaker guy, how are you?
Back from the dead.
Where have you... I was going to say, you've been gone for a long time, man.
Well, the wrestling product ain't been too good lately. I don't think.
But what about the show?
It's too predictable.
My show's too predictable?
No, your show's good, but the World Wrestling Federation's too predictable.
Well, you see, that's why my show is here. Because that way you can call in and you can rant and moan about everything else. So, don't stop calling my show, man.
Oh, I don't. I mean, your show's great. I mean, it gives those people a thrill to listen to me. And that's all to it. And don't jealous of me, and they all have me.
Okay, so what's on your mind tonight, man?
About The Undertaker, which side do you think he's going to go to?
As far as?
Like WWF or NWO?
Well, are you talking about with the split?
Yeah.
Well, when the split happens, the split's not going to be WWF and NWO. Apparently, it's going to be a Raw League and a SmackDown League. And Ric Flair's going to control one, and Vince McMahon's going to control one. And, they're going to hold a draft, basically, where, McMahon's going to name somebody, and, Ric Flair will name somebody, and, who knows which side he's going to end up on.
Well, what I think the problem is, I mean, you might agree with that, like, when they attack somebody, next week that they're always going to get even. I think they need to spread it out a little bit. And I think the problem is Stephanie Brett has got in the way.
Trish Stratus was there almost last Monday, too. Well, you know what? Though? When they were in WCW during their heyday, they really didn't get a whole lot of retribution paid back to them. It's been pretty even so far, like you said. When they attack somebody on Raw, there's retribution on SmackDown. But in WCW, they kind of had their way. So it's kind of nice they're evening things out, I think, a little bit.
Okay, and one more question before I go. about Kurt Angle and The Undertaker. You think they're going to turn heel eventually or stay as bad guys? Be good guys?
You mean, are they going to turn babyface?
Yeah.
Well, I think the easy answer is yes. Everybody eventually turns babyface. Everybody eventually turns back to being a heel. So that's the easy question.
Hogan taking on The Undertaker again. I hate to say it, but I think that's going to come again.
Hogan and The Undertaker?
Yeah.
I think what could end up happening is if they bring back Michaels and the storyline idea that Michaels may come back and be with Ric Flair and go after The Undertaker at WrestleMania, I could see them bringing in Michaels as a babyface and him fighting The Undertaker, and then by the end of the night going over to the New World Order, turning heel, kind of one of those quick swerve storylines that the WWF loves to do. So it'll be interesting to find out what happens.
And is there a chance The Undertaker could go back to his old ways for his final year?
I don't think so. I think that The Undertaker has had so many injuries over his career that he can no longer perform as the Phenom, where, flying over the ropes and everything. I think that it was so much a part of that whole mystique and that character. I don't see him going back to that.
Okay, a final thing. It's true. Kurt Angle is a god.
Thank you very much. That was The Undertaker, guys. If you want to hop on board where he was, 866-910-WPFB. 866-910-WPFB is our phone number. Been a long time since we heard from that guy, so. Yeah, something else, too. He said, he's not been happy with the wrestling product, that it's been very predictable. As we've seen with the ratings the last few weeks, that the ratings have not improved like the World Wrestling Federation thought they would, nor has, we've actually seen the ratings backslide a little bit, going down from the 4.7 to a 4.5. Are you not watching as much wrestling as you used to? Dave Meltzer did a fascinating piece about this in the Wrestling Observer, 2 months ago, about how older fans have been turned off. And if you talk to a lot of wrestlers, older wrestlers who are no longer that active, who are in their 40s and 50s, they're disenchanted with the product. Let's face it, wrestling has changed tremendously from what it was when, 10 years ago, what it used to be. Are you okay with that? Are you okay with things changing, with the evolution of things? Or have you gotten tired of Stephanie McMahon every single week and all of the storylines? And is it too predictable? Your thoughts on that? World Wrestling Federation, again, very much hyping up the fact that SmackDown is live tomorrow night and that The Rock will be there. Now, SmackDown last week's ratings dropped down to a 3.8, and to be honest, I don't see SmackDown's ratings doing much better. There was one guy that called the Wrestling Guys hotline this past week who said he would like to see what would happen with the SmackDown ratings if all of the wrestling media, the Dave Shears, the OneWrestling.coms, the Dave Meltzers, myself with the Wrestling Guys, because what we tend to do, and if you call the Wrestling Guys hotline, we do this, is on Thursdays, we give out the SmackDown results before it happens. Now, we always give out, for example, myself, I do it at the very end of the report. I give a heads up in case you don't want to know what happens. If you don't want to be spoiled as to what happens, then you hang up before I get to that. Some people like to know what's going to happen before they watch. Others don't. I totally respect that. He thinks that because we give out the SmackDown results, that we impact the ratings. And maybe to a very, 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 very minimal degree do we do that. I think the biggest problem with SmackDown is, A, it is taped, and even if we give out the ratings or not, people aren't as inclined to tune in if it's taped as if it's live. The other thing, too, Thursday night is an incredibly tough television night. I mean, for so many years, that has been the night for the top shows in television. You have Friends, you've got CSI, you've got those are two of the top shows in all of television. You go back now, Survivor is on Thursdays at 8 o'clock. So I think that the problem isn't as much that the show is live or taped, or that we give out results, as much as is look at the competition. You've got Friends, you've got Survivor, you've got CSI, all of those shows. You can go back the last few years. All of the dominant shows have always been on Thursdays. Your Seinfeld, your Cheers, and all that. Your Cosby shows going back to the 80s were always on Thursday nights. So Thursday's just a tough night. Apparently, UPN is interested in maybe adding a second night of WWF programming. They're going to run a special next week. I believe that's going to be on Wednesday on UPN. It's going to be Divas on the Beach, and it's going to be on Wednesday night. And I know the executives are going to be looking at that rating very closely to see what it does and to see whether or not a second night of WWF programming is a good idea. Now, last week, SmackDown went down to a 3.8. It was number 77 in all of the television shows that aired last week, and you're thinking, well, that's number 77, that's not very good. That is still the number one show for UPN. So UPN toying around with the idea of adding a second night of wrestling And whether or not that's a good idea, that remains to be seen. 866-910-WPFB, 866-910-WPFB. I'm feeling a little giving. I'll give away another video. Call in now. This is the Wrestling Guys on 910 WPFB.
It starts with your stuffy nose and spreads till your head feels all blocked up. Your body feels stiff and achy. That's how you feel when you have a bad cold, all blocked up.
Introducing new Alka-Seltzer Plus, the only cold medicine with a new effervescent cold-fighting formula to break up nasal congestion and release you from your worst cold misery. New effervescent Alka-Seltzer Plus breaks up your worst cold. Use as directed.
Well, you mind if I ask you a couple of things, Mr. Cohen? Harry Nile, the Seattle detective, returns to your radio this week as he investigates dangerous goings-on in a Seattle music school.
The piano, it's a Bosendorfer, isn't it? Why, yes, my dear, and imperial.
It's Imagination Theater, right here.
Don't miss Imagination Theater, Sunday at 6, on the station that's a part of your life. AM 910, WPFB.
Looking to do something good? Well, there's lots teenagers can do, like feeding a rare, speckled Burmese bear cub. Isn't he cute?
Okay, be careful, Susie. Don't feed him. Don't.
Whoa!
Wow, that's gotta hurt.
Or how about just leaving something closer to home, like your neighborhood? Tutor, mentor, volunteer. Help change your community and change the way the world sees you. Click on weprevent.org or call 1-800-722-TEEN.
A message from the U.S. Department of Justice, Decline Prevention.
WPFB forecast for the Sunday corridor tonight, increasing cloudiness, low 42. Thursday, partly chance of showers, high 58. Friday, partly cloudy, breezy, high 66. Right now, it's 53. Listen all next week for your chance to win tickets for the Johnny Mac's Super Big Band Bash at Manchester, March 15th. You may also get dinner for 910 WPFB.
And now back to the Wrestling Guys on the station that's a part of your life, AM 910 WPFB.
Welcome back to the Wrestling Guys on AM 910 WPFB. My name is Shawn Stidham, and we have our latest winner on the line, Paul Reeder. Paul, welcome. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. Congratulations. You get another home video, courtesy of our friends at WWF Home Video. We'll get that out to you this week.
Thanks.
All right, now let me know your thoughts. WrestleMania, we were talking about what should the main event be, Rock and Hogan, Jericho and Triple H, Austin and Hall. What's your opinion?
I think it should be the championship match.
So you're kind of an old school guy like myself, that the world title match should be the final match no matter what your planned outcome is. It's the world title. That's the main event.
Absolutely. It's the most important thing. That's what it's all about. The title, you know?
I like your thought. And you see, a lot of people feel like the titles don't mean anything anymore. And in a way, the way they've been tossed around so much lately, nowadays you have the world title change hands 10 times over the course of a year. Before you were lucky to change once over the course of the year.
Right.
So that thought. What about Shawn Michaels? Should he come back? If he comes back, should he be with The Undertaker? Should he be with the New World Order? Should he be with DX?
I like the DX when that was around. I love that. So I hope if they do it, I hope he comes back with DX and with Triple H and get Mr. Ass out of that super tag team he's in now.
You don't like Billy and Chuck, huh?
No, not really.
All right. Well, Paul, you got a home video, so again, we appreciate you listening, and thanks. We'll send that up to you there in the rain.
All right, thanks a lot, man.
All right, thank you. Paul Reeder joining us tonight. Toll-free number again is 866-910-WPFB, 866-910-WPFB. And again, we're taking your opinion, your votes, your thoughts tonight on what the main event should be for WrestleMania. Y2J and Triple H, The Rock and Hogan, Austin and Scott Hall. Your thoughts on that. Also, Shawn Michaels. Again, the thought is that Michaels is going to be back in the WWF. Maybe it's SmackDown tomorrow night. Will he come out with Ric Flair to fight The Undertaker? Should he be a part of the New World Order? If you know anything about Shawn Michaels, you know about his history with Scott Hall and Kevin Nash and the Clique. Should he be back with those guys? Or should he, in fact, bring back DX? Bail out the Road Dogg out of that imaginary jail in Pensacola, Florida. Give Billy Gunn some magazine and get him back to being straight, and bring back DX. Your thoughts on that? 866-910-WPFB, 866-910-WPFB. Back to the phone lines. Welcome to the Wrestling Guys. Who's this?
Tom.
Hey, Tom, how are you?
I'm all right.
All right, good. What's your thoughts?
I'm wondering why you got to rehash DX. It's done. It's over. Why can't Shawn Michaels just come out and be Shawn Michaels?
Well, that's a legitimate thought, too, but there's a lot of people that want to see... I mean, it's that same kind of thinking that for years, whenever Ric Flair came in, when's the Horseman coming back?
Yeah, I'd like to see the Horseman back.
I think the problem with DX is that there's no way to bring back DX the way it was. I don't think Triple H wants to be a part of a of a team or a stable any longer. I think the Road Dogg has too much baggage to bring him back in. I don't think Billy Gunn's going to be moved out of his tag team. Certainly you could bring back X-Pac, and then, if you could throw in a Just Incredible and somebody else, but will fans accept that?
Oh, I'd like to see, like, Shawn Michaels coming back as, like, the big good guy that he always used to be and take out the NWO. I think that would be good for TV.
See, the only problem with that is, I don't know how much you followed the Shawn Michaels story, but, he's not the Shawn Michaels of old. There's a lot of talk that his body couldn't withstand a full-time schedule and all the rigors and all the bumps and bruises that he would take, and that if you put him with a stable, if you put him with the New World Order, or you bring back the X, he doesn't have to wrestle that much. You can slide him into some tag teams. You can have him as a manager a lot of the time, and that would, cut down on the physical toll on his body. Who knows? I think Shawn Michaels being back would be great. Whatever it takes to bring him back, in my opinion.
I'd like to see, like, a super group taking on the NWO, like Shawn Michaels, Triple H, and, like, Steve Austin against Hogan, Hall, and Nash.
I think that could work out, too.
Not like Just Incredible and X-Pac. I mean, they'd work all well together, but it'd be one-sided.
Now, what was your thought on the main event for WrestleMania?
I'm thinking it should be the title match.
The title match?
It should be, and I think they should let Chris Jericho win legitimately to prove that he's worthy of being a champion.
To kind of solidify his title reign?
Yeah, and then let him lose it, because if he loses it now, he's still just a joke champion.
Gotcha. Good thoughts. Appreciate the phone call, man.
All right, thanks.
Thank you very much. Call in again. 866-910-WPFB, 866-910-WPFB is our phone number here on the Wrestling Guys on AM 910 WPFB. Quick update on Scott Steiner. I've got an email about that. If you want to email, by the way, thewrestlingguys@AOL.com is the email address. Situation with Scott Steiner is this. Steiner apparently has some dates lying to work for New Japan Pro Wrestling. Those are contingent as to whether or not he has a contract with the World Wrestling Federation. Steiner took a physical about 2 or 3 weeks ago and passed the initial physical. The World Wrestling Federation would like to bring Scott Steiner in. They think he would be a very good addition to the New World Order. The problem is, like Shawn Michaels, Scott Steiner has had a number of injuries over his career, and he has what's called drop foot syndrome. He suffered a number of nerve damage in his leg and basically has to wear an apparatus, a brace or whatever, so that so that he can move around. If you saw him at the pay-per-view, the WWA pay-per-view a couple of weeks ago, he was limping around a little bit, but it's not thought that that would be enough to keep the World Wrestling Federation from signing him. And again, like Shawn Michaels, you put him with the New World Order. You can have him maybe wrestling only once or twice a month and have him maybe in a tag team or as a manager or something along those lines. So much of what the World Wrestling Federation does is interview-driven anyway. Can you cut a good promo? Scott Steiner can do that. Can you look good standing there in the corner? Scott Steiner can do that. So there's some thoughts, too, about that. Sitting here looking at the video. Should I give away one more? Okay, I'm going to give away one more. 866-910-WPFB. First person through. You've got to have a good take. You can't have already called in tonight. So if you've already called in tonight, hang up. Just stop. But if you got to give us your opinion about the main event of WrestleMania, you've got to give us your opinion about Shawn Michaels. And the phone number again is 866-910-WPFB. 866-910-WPFB. And again, I want to thank our good friends at WWF Home Video for providing us with our various copies tonight. And congratulations to our winner so far, James from Brookville, Paul from Moraine. Also, can't reach his other one. Dwight put that all the way on the other side. There you go. Thank you very much. Candy from Miamisburg and John from Riverside. We appreciate the phone call tonight, and thank you for tuning in. And again, the phone number tonight, if you want to pick up a video, 866-910-WPFB, 866-910-WPFB, as we're wrapping things up here on a Wednesday night. Again, a couple of things to remind you about and get you up to date on the latest news. Raw this past week did a 4.5 rating, much to the dismay of everybody in Stamford, Connecticut. There's going to be a new guy backstage in the World Wrestling Federation. His name is Mark Lloyd. He used to host a radio show down in Orlando. He's going to be doing backstage interviews, very similar to what you see with Jonathan Coachman, the coach of the backstage, so he'll be doing that. Also, this Sunday, the World Wrestling Federation will have a very special edition of The Weakest Link on NBC. Austin Kane, the Dudley Boys, Jerry Lawler, Deborah, and Terry will be on that show. Also, Triple H is going to be featured on the Conan O'Brien show. That will be on March the 13th. The stars of the World Wrestling Federation will invade the Howard Stern show. That is going to be tomorrow night on E! Entertainment Television. Next Wednesday will be a special on UPN about the Divas, and also next Tuesday there will be a WrestleMania special. That will be on TNN at 9 o'clock, the history of WrestleMania, and The Rock is going to be on MTV March 22nd and 24th, hosting the most outrageous spring break moments And that, of course, all coinciding with WrestleMania and the push, as that is, of course, the granddaddy of them all. SmackDown is live tomorrow night from San Antonio, Texas. Again, all the speculation is that Shawn Michaels will be there and will be coming back to the World Wrestling Federation in some capacity. Heartland Wrestling Association is in action tonight down at Oscars in Cincinnati. Of course, if you're already there, you're probably not listening to me right now since their show's getting ready to start. So, and again, some sad news to report as a number of wrestlers passed away over the last week. The medic Tony Gonzalez, also Slick Robbie Lee, and Dino Casanova, all passing away, and we want to send our condolences again to their friends, fans, and family. The World Wrestling Federation will be releasing a box set of all of the popular entrance music from the late 80s to today. That is coming out in June. Also, and I know a bunch of you are liking this, WrestleMania X8 will be out for the Nintendo GameCube in June, and we'll have more information about that as we get closer to that. Scott Steiner expected, Shane Douglas expected to join XPW as its main booker starting on April the 17th. That is when his AOL Time Warner contract will be expired. And that pretty much wraps us up for another week. I'll tell you what, we're going to do one more video. And then we want to wrap up this whole controversy, this whole debate of what should be the main event at WrestleMania. Should it be Rock and Hogan? Should it be Triple H and Y2J? Should it be Scott Hall and Stone Cold Steve Austin? Again, the toll-free number is 866-910-WPFB, 866-910-WPFB. And also, again, your thoughts about Shawn Michaels. New World Order. Should he fight The Undertaker? Should he just be Shawn Michaels? Should he bring back DX? Your thoughts on that. And again, you call in. We'll go ahead and throw out another video to you. Again, the toll-free number is 866-910-WPFB. And one other thing I want to remind you about, of course, is the Wrestling Guys Hotline. For the latest wrestling news, you can call the Wrestling Guys Hotline at 937-285-0991. For the latest wrestling news 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Plus, we have the calendar of events and so much more. And that is all for you. Free of charge. You don't have to pay $2.99 a minute. $3.99 a minute. Although if you want to, then just write me out a check, send it here to the radio station. I'll greatly appreciate that. But you don't have to do that. And also, again, in the programming notes, Saturday night high school boys basketball returns to AM 910 WPFB as the Lebanon Warriors will battle Winton Woods right here, 7 o'clock. Dwight Smith, the old coach Jack Gordon, Greg Anderson, Fred Finney, they will have the game for you right here on the station at the Party of Your Life. Okay, I'm out of time. I apologize to Eric on hold. I will get to you. You get your video. I'm sorry I can't get you on the air tonight, but I'll go ahead and get that to you. Again, I want to thank our friends at WWF Home Video for providing us with the home videos. We greatly appreciate that. And thanks to everybody for listening. Big show next week as we get ready for WrestleMania. You don't want to miss it. It's going to be huge. That is another week. I'm Shawn Stidham. Thanks for listening to the Wrestling Guys on the station at the Party of Your Life, AM 910, WPFB.
Radio, the Wrestling Guys. Join us every week after the 6 o'clock news on the station that's a part of your life, AM 910 WPFB. Making their way into the studio, the tag team champions of Talk Radio, the Wrestling Guys.
A terrific Wednesday evening to you. Welcome to another edition of the Wrestling Guys here on AM 910 WPFB. My name is Shawn Stidham. We have a very busy 54 minutes in front of us. Later on in the hour, we will be talking to the man that calls it right down the middle, Bill Alfonso, the manager of champions. He's going to be in the Dayton area this weekend, appearing for Unified Championship Wrestling. He's going to join us, as well as Big Daddy Raj Cox from UCW. They'll be coming up in the bottom portion of this program. The toll-free number, if you want to hop on board tonight, 866-910-WPFB, 866-910-9732. Looking forward to talking to all of you tonight, getting your thoughts on a number of subjects. What did you think of WrestleMania this past Sunday? Rock, Hogan, Rock gets the victory. We also have a brand new World Wrestling Federation champion, Triple H, the undisputed champion, and now he's going to put that title on the line this coming Monday on Raw, and a handicap match against Y2J Chris Jericho and Stephen McMahon. That should be interesting, and then we'll also get your thoughts on that. We're going to talk about Stone Cold Steve Austin. We're going to talk about paranoia running rampant in the World Wrestling Federation, and a whole bunch more. Again, the toll-free number is 866-910-WPFB. Let's go ahead and get into the news. After several weeks of hanging around the 4.5 and 4.7 mark, Raw this past Monday banged out a 5.3 rating for the World Wrestling Federation, their highest rating in quite some time. The Overrun, the portion between 11 and 11:15, which featured the tag team main event with Hogan and Rock against Nash and Hall, did a very impressive 5.8. Obviously, coming out of WrestleMania, helped out a lot. Should be really interesting to see how they continue with this rating, especially with the draft coming up next Monday. The brand extension, as Linda McMahon wants to call it, where the World Wrestling Federation is basically now going to split into two separate leagues. We talked about it for some time, where Ric Flair will now control Monday Night Raw. Vince McMahon will control WWF SmackDown, and with the exception of the champions, the wrestlers will be exclusive to their program. So if Rock gets drafted by Vince McMahon and he's not the champion, then the only place you'll be able to see The Rock will be on SmackDown. So we'll be talking about that, your thoughts about that too. Again, the toll-free number is 866-910-WPFB. Other news, WrestleMania this past Sunday sold over 61,000 tickets. The World Wrestling Federation did a gate of just over $6.1 million, the biggest gate in the company's history. Merchandise sales were over $1 million, so they're all happy with that. SmackDown tomorrow night. Quick preview, we'll see The Rock against Kevin Nash. Booker T will take on Edge. William Regal will go after the European Championship at Diamond Dallas Page. We'll find out a little more about the split and all of that tomorrow night on WWF SmackDown. The word around the World Wrestling Federation is that Stone Cold Steve Austin is not very happy with his role. A few weeks back, Stone Cold Steve Austin and Vince McMahon got into an altercation backstage. Not really an altercation, more of a shouting match. An animated debate, if you will, about Austin apparently disagreeing with various storylines. Well, according to numerous sources, Pro Wrestling Torch, Wrestling Observer, and OneWrestling.com, this past Sunday, the original finish for the Hall and Austin match was for Scott Hall to win via some type of interference from Vince McMahon. Austin apparently did not like that finish, changed it to one that was more suitable for him. He got the victory over Scott Hall, and then for whatever reason did not appear on Monday Night Raw or SmackDown. Now, there's a lot of people that said Austin has not been happy with the way his character has been portrayed the last few weeks, that he's felt like he's been more of an afterthought. I know the World Wrestling Federation wants to try and put this over, smooth this over as quickly as possible. There's a lot of plans coming up for Stone Cold Steve Austin. Obviously, with the roster split, where the superstars are going to be split right down the middle, Rock's going to be in one league, Austin's going to be in another league, and Austin's going to have to carry that one league. And with The Rock taking a couple of months off later this year to film a movie, Stone Cold Steve Austin is going to be as important as ever to the World Wrestling Federation, and so we'll see what happens with that situation. Congratulations going out to a couple of developmental talents. Brock Lesnar debuted this past Monday. He will be under the guidance of Paul Heyman, and also Rico Constantino, who has been a developmental wrestler for quite some time, working for Ohio Valley Wrestling, most recently in the Heartland Wrestling Association, their champion. He will now be the stylist. He's not a manager. He is a stylist for Billy and Chuck, the WWF Tag Team Champions. But congratulations for him getting that call. I know he's happy about that. Bret Hart has agreed to go back to the site of the Montreal Screwjob. Back in 1997, obviously, of course, the Survivor Series in the Molson Center of Montreal. That's where the infamous Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels, and Vince McMahon Screwjob took place. Well, Jacques Rougeau has his own wrestling promotion in Canada. Bret Hart has agreed to appear on their next show at the Molson Center. No date for that show has been announced, but when we find out more, we will let you know here, of course, right here on the Wrestling Guys, and of course on the Wrestling Guys hotline, which you can dial up by calling 937-285-0991. Big Show is headed over to the United Kingdom to promote a Raw tour that will happen over there in early May. Also, Ken Shamrock making a comeback to wrestling, as he's going to be appearing for the Ring of Honor. That's a Pennsylvania promotion. He's due to appear for that company later this month. And there's been talk that he may be brought into the World Wrestling Federation to do a program with Kurt Angle, although nothing has been officially signed as of this point. I mentioned at the top of the program about paranoia running rampant in the World Wrestling Federation. That comes from an open letter that the World Wrestling Federation sent out earlier today. You can read it at WWF.com, which was sent out to pro wrestling newsletters and internet sites. I'll read just a couple phrases from it. Sports entertainment is big business. Nowhere is it more readily evident than in the proliferation of professional wrestling newsletters and websites that are dedicated to covering the field. We commend all of you for your enthusiasm. Notwithstanding our obvious conflict of interest, you attempt to scoop storylines and concepts. We attempt to execute our storylines and concepts in a surprise fashion. However, the most difficult thing for us is your reliance on sources to develop the overwhelming majority of your material on our company. Despite our efforts to make ourselves available for official comment, it is the rare occasion when you call to confirm your facts or to get official comment before publishing information about the World Wrestling Federation. As a result, many times what you report is more rumor, innuendo, and speculation than fact. this has caused several problems. Because of the heightened interest in the World Wrestling Federation's activities, some people have begun using your newsletters and websites as sources of information on our company. We spend much time correcting information these people believe the World Wrestling Federation has provided to you. We would like to have had a positive working relationship with you. I know I said I was only going to say a couple things, but I'll go ahead and finish it. We would like to have had a positive working relationship with you. However, because of your preference to use sources who often have other agendas at play other than providing facts, we cannot have people think we are providing information for your newsletters and websites beyond what is readily available to the public from our official websites and news releases. We wish you continued success. However, please understand that we will be notifying our associates and fans that information in your newsletters and on your website is published without comment and verification from World Wrestling Federation Entertainment. That's the gist of it. Basically, nothing changes. Now, if the World Wrestling Federation wants to keep storylines and concepts a surprise, then why on their own website, via the Ross report, via Linda McMahon's conference call, do they readily admit storylines that are going to come up and contract signings? For example, take Scott Steiner, for instance. Obviously, if Scott Steiner showed up in the World Wrestling Federation, it would be a huge story. If he did it by surprise, that would be an even bigger story. Well, Jim Ross has been very, very open about the fact, and the World Wrestling Federation has been very open about the fact, that they are looking at Scott Steiner, they're trying to figure out what's going on with Scott Steiner's drop foot syndrome, and therefore everybody knows the World Wrestling Federation has an interest in Scott Steiner. Linda McMahon was very open that the World Wrestling Federation was going to split into two separate leagues. We were going to have this brand extension. That was known 2 or 3 months ago, yet it was carried off as a surprise this past Monday. What I'm getting at, the World Wrestling Federation seems to be trying to talk out of both sides of their mouth. While they want coverage, it seems like they want to be able to tell the media what you can cover and what you can't cover. And granted, I agree with the line that the attempt to execute storylines and concepts in a surprise fashion. I love to be surprised as much as every other wrestling fan. But there are certain news stories that have to be covered whether or not the World Wrestling Federation would like it or not. Much like, take what's going on down in Cincinnati with Bob Huggins talking with West Virginia. I'm sure that all the parties involved would much rather prefer that this not get out in the media, but it's a news story. Take what's happening in San Francisco with the Giants and Jeff Kent, where Jeff Kent apparently broke his wrist, and now there's this whole speculation about whether he was riding a motorcycle or not. I'm sure all parties involved would prefer that the media was not involved, but yet the media is. News happens, things happen, stories get out, and I don't think there's anything the World Wrestling Federation is going to be able to do about it. They can, threaten to fire employees, they can do whatever they want to, but people are going to talk at all times. Granted, some things should not be reported. If the WWF came to me and said, hey, this is going to happen, but we prefer you not talk about it, I would be more than happy to honor that. But more often than not, I've called the World Wrestling Federation before to confirm stories, and 99% of the time, all you would get is a no comment. So really, the open letter they sent out today really doesn't change anybody's business. It doesn't change what the newsletters do. Granted, there's a lot of websites out there that are full of crap. I'm talking about the websites which will say, Goldberg signed with the WWF, when there's no way that's true, or nude pictures of Lita found here. No, they didn't. But it'd be interesting to get your thoughts on that as well. Plus, I want to talk about WrestleMania and your thoughts on that. Our toll-free number, again, is 866-910-WPFB. We're going to take a break. Bill Alfonso coming up later on. This is The Wrestling Guys on the station that's a part of your life, AM 910, WPFB.
This is Frank Farmer Loomis, your antiques expert, with the antique of the day.
Homeowners, how many times have you painted your house? Are you planning to paint this spring? Have you considered that in just a few years you'll have to paint again? Stop this endless cycle of painting forever with vinyl siding from Sears Home Central. Call Sears for a free in-home estimate at 1-800-858-1044. Call now and save $500 on select styles. Vinyl siding from Sears is virtually maintenance-free. It has the attractive look of freshly painted wood. And best of all, Sears guarantees your complete satisfaction or your money back. So call Sears at 1-800-858-1044 and save $500 on select styles. Offer ends May 31st. License number available on request. Not available in all areas. Minimum purchase 1,000 square feet. Ask your representative for offer details and written warranty. You can stop this endless cycle of painting forever. Call Sears Siding now at 1-800-858-1044. That's 1-800-858-1044.
Don't most of us love amusement centers like Kings Island? Chicago, way back in 1893, had its own version. That was when the World's Fair was held. Perhaps you may have visited one of its buildings which still stands today, the Museum of Science and Industry. That's located on South Lakeshore Drive in Lake Michigan. Right near there was where the big hit of the fair was. It was the Ferris wheel. It was invented by the American engineer Washington Gale Ferris. And when he invented this wonder, the first time it was ever seen was in Chicago, so it was a big focal point of the fair. It even had 36 cars for people to ride on it. And the only thing that came close to the Ferris wheel in popularity at the World's Fair was Little Egypt. And she was a dancing lady. She was considered kind of scandalous, but it was the Ferris wheel that was the big hit. It was such a hit that even shortly thereafter, Coney Island in New York City had to have a Ferris wheel. Even to this day, the Ferris wheel remains the granddaddy of all amusement rides.
Your 910 WPFB forecast for the Shin corridor. Tonight, cloudy, patchy, dense fog piles below 35. Thursday, partly cloudy, chance of snow showers late. Snow may begin as rain, high around 50. Right now, it's 49. Get up to a minute health news. 60-second tips for healthy living Monday through Friday during the 9 a.m. news here on 910 WPFB.
You're listening to The Wrestling Guys on AM 910 WPFB.
Back here on The Wrestling Guys, my name is Shawn Stidham, and let's go to the phone lines. And joining us first tonight, a guy who knows a little bit about reporting wrestling news, Cam Collins. How you doing, man?
I'm doing great, Shawn. How you been?
Good. You're on the road. You going to be safe or what? I mean, I don't want you to crash and burn on 75 or something.
It's dangerous territory. I'm chewing gum, driving, and talking on the phone. Okay, let's see what's going to happen here. But
with those skills and the ability to do all of those at once, I think I know some places you could apply for work and be like the boss.
Be paid by the hour?
More so than that, man. More so than that. How are you doing?
Doing great. Interesting open letter by the WWF, huh?
Yeah, what'd you think about that?
Well, my first reaction to that is like you touched on. Try calling them and confirming any story. They'd probably actually...
story, they'll report on it. If it's something that might paint something in a bad light, they don't want to talk about it, which is fine. If a ball player is involved in some kind of crime or, we've seen drug things and like that, where the team will say no comment. That's expected.
Right.
But why chastise newsletters and websites, especially, ones that are known for being reputable? Why paint them all into the same corner and paint them all with the same brush?
Right, and well, you think back to it as well as when, ratings are down and things like that. Haven't you ever felt that stories were purposely leaked out?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And really, I started thinking about it. The last time I was truly shocked by something I saw with a new arrival was when I was sitting in the First Star Center in Cincinnati with Willie F., the independent icon, Big Daddy Raj Koch, and Rick Rude showed up on Nitro.
Right.
And the taped, of course, the taped Raw was airing on WWF, so that was the night he was on both shows at the same time. Since then, anything else I've kind of had advance warning of, well, except for Brock Lesnar showing up at WrestleMania, which is very cool, but at the same time, some of those stories can shock us, but at the same time, if they cut that out, they would essentially have to go back to the 80s and claim that wrestling is real, and get the wrestlers back in that mindset of, all right, kayfabe, everything you do 24/7.
Exactly. I mean, you see the the various the pay-per-view specials and the DVDs they bring out that talk about things behind the scenes and before they were superstars and all of that, which is great. I think it's wonderful, but at the same time, they're really talking out of both sides of the mouth. You can report on this, but you can't report on that. Well, it's not fair. You can't have, you can't do that. And I don't know if you remember this, but back in the 80s, when they had their first rise with the Rock and Wrestling Connection and all of that, they really tried to block any other wrestling media from having anything to do with them. They would no longer give press credentials to Pro Wrestling Illustrated and those type of magazines. They would no longer give interviews. They really clamped everything down. I have a feeling that's maybe what they're trying to do once again.
Yeah, and the other thing too, though, I think that would be a big, I wouldn't call it a disservice to themselves, but if you think about how many times, an event comes to a town, it might be a former worker's hometown, so he stops in the locker room and says hello, and then all of a sudden the rumors start shooting out. Brutus Beefcake stopped in the locker room at the WWF house show. Looks like he's going to sign a contract. So you know that would never happen. Hopefully it would never happen again, but it's a good way for a reputable internet site like OneWrestling.com to step in and say, stop, that's an ugly, nasty rumor that got started about Brutus Beefcake being in the ring again. That should never happen again, and it won't.
Yeah, hopefully it will never happen.
Yeah, hopefully, for the sake of all wrestling fans, it won't ever happen again.
You know, the thing is, you know, if you walk by and you see a headline on USA Today or, you know, the Cincinnati Enquirer, Dayton Daily News, whatever, Middletown Journal, you go, it's reputable. They have a reputation for being a credible news source. If you see it on the National Enquirer, you see it on the Weekly World News, you kind of chuckle and laugh. It's the same thing with wrestling, whether it be hotlines, whether it be news sites, radio shows, whatever. There's ones that are reputable, which I paint OneWrestling.com, Wrestling Observer, PW Torch. They do a pretty good job.
On one hand.
Huh?
You can count the reputable sites. Really, you can almost count them on one hand.
Actually, I think that any website that runs itself as a news board is questionable. And BJ Bethel's a friend of mine. He does OneWrestling.com. He also does TWNPnews.com. The news boards are really bad about just throwing something up there. You know, Goldberg and Austin have a fight in a bar. Details, click here.
Right.
That's unprofessional. That's not fair, and it's unfair the World Wrestling Federation try and lump all of those together. I feel that what I've done, along with the various people that have done this show with me, whether it be you or Marty or Willie or whoever, that we did a very good job of trying to be reputable, to trying to check the sources, and trying to weed through the crap.
Right.
And I don't like. Even though they didn't mention, hotlines or radio shows, I think they kind of meant everybody, because we're kind of doing the same thing sometimes they're doing. I don't like being painted in that same corner with some of these other people, too, because I have called Jason Bernstein, the World Wrestling Federation, with a story that I know to be true, and say, hey, can you confirm this in any official comment? We can't talk about that.
Exactly.
Everything was, we can't talk about that, unless it was something like, hey, is there a new book coming out? Oh, absolutely.
Right. If it's promotional, they'll do it.
Absolutely. Exactly.
And if you've looked, and I've been hitting wrestling websites since about 96, 97, and they have really evolved to the point now where the reputable sites no longer really focus on trying to spoil a storyline.
Right.
They focus more on those news items like the signings, who's got a developmental deal. Here's what went on at a house show after the cameras went off the air. Little things like, it's not so much, hey, here's what you're going to see next week on Raw, and here's what you're going to see on SmackDown. We know this because we got their booking sheet. You don't see that stuff that much anymore.
No, not at all. And you also, I know, they continue to be frustrated with the fact that SmackDown results get out early. Well, they've been just as guilty of that at times. If you think back last year when Jeff Hardy beat Triple H for the Intercontinental title for that week or two, that was front page story on WWF.com.
Right, Mick Foley's world title
reign. There's another one too. And when you can't expect to run a show like that in front of 15, 20, 25,000 people and not expect it to get out, not with the way the internet's run today.
Well, and correct me if I'm wrong, I know it used to be this way, but if you were on the traditional satellite TV system, I remember after a live call-in one night at DATV, it was on a Tuesday night when they were doing the taping, and we were watching it as it was happening.
Well,
the feed was picked up, and we could watch it as it happened on satellite.
You can still do that, and perfect example of that is last week at SmackDown, Stephanie McMahon popped out of her shirt. Well, there were people that were watching that on satellite, getting the live feed. They taped it. Now, obviously, that portion of the program was edited out this past Thursday, but there were people that taped the live feed, and those pictures got out on the Internet.
Right.
I mean,
there's no way, if you've got 5,000, 10,000 people in an arena, and you expect them all to leave tight-lipped and not mention the show, you're crazy. It's going to happen. You're going to make them sign a non-disclosure agreement on what they saw that night. It's just insane for that to happen. So I don't know really what they're trying to accomplish with it, but A, it's not going to work, and B, I think they're really making themselves look bad. They're kind of throwing themselves back 20 years as far as we're no longer sports entertainment. Now we're actually a real sport now, so leave us alone.
Well, I'm sitting here, and I was just reading Dave Scher, who's been on this show numerous times from OneWrestling.com, has posted a response to this letter, and one of the things he mentioned is that Vince McMahon, who for so long has championed his right to free speech and the First Amendment, it really is making himself look so hypocritical by having his company release this open letter.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I agree with that 100%.
It just, I agree with you. It's not going to work. Cam Collins joining us here on the Wrestling Guys on AM 910 WPFB. What do you think of WrestleMania this past week? Let's get your thoughts on that. We got about a minute and a half before we get to news.
I thought it was pretty good overall, but I think even coming out of the Royal Rumble, I thought the main event was kind of weak for such a large-scale event. Playing a large venue like that, it wasn't your Hogan Andre, it wasn't your Hogan Warrior type main event. It wasn't even Austin Michaels. I just don't think they did Chris Jericho any favors in his title reign as far as giving him any clean wins to solidify him as a legit champion. You know, Triple H had Mick Foley to put him over so very, very well and establish him, and Jericho was not given those same favors. Maybe it's just not his time yet, but I just don't think, they put the women's title match before that in between Hogan and Rock. I just thought they knew the fans would not buy that title match by itself.
Well, I think the problem they had with the placement of the matches was it was really odd for them to put Rock and Hogan, I think, before the ladies tag match or the ladies three-way and then the title match. We talked about it on this show that, I'm a traditionalist. I think you're a little bit of a traditionalist, too, right, that you prefer to see the world title match go on last. However, there is a precedent with WrestleMania. Think back to the one that was in Indianapolis where you do not have the title match go on last. You have a different match go on last. And given the way they built up Hogan and Rock, I don't think there's a person that was watching on pay-per-view or any of the 68,000 people that were there that thought that match was going to go on anywhere but the final match of the show.
Exactly.
And with the emotion that match had and the response it got through the fans, it made the rest of the show flat. Nothing else could live up to that. Plus, a lot of people left the building because they already saw what they considered to be the main event of the show.
Exactly. And I almost fell asleep during the women's match. I mean, honestly, the Hogan-Rock match, I thought they were actually going to, the crowd reaction was going to force the dome open at the Sky Dome. I mean, it was just huge. I thought, man, that dome's going to come open because this crowd is really into this match, and that was very nice to see.
You know what I give the WWF some credit for? I think last year that they tried to force the heel turn with Austin. The fans were not going to buy it down in Houston, Texas.
Right.
I think they realized by the reaction Hogan had been getting leading up to WrestleMania and the various venues that he was in, that the fans want to cheer Hulk Hogan. It wasn't so much they don't like The Rock, but they want to cheer Hogan. And so rather than try and force some type of heel, Hogan to continue to being a heel, they went ahead, they went with what the fans wanted, and I think it made for a very good WrestleMania.
Yeah, my hat's off to him. Hogan's he seems much more content with what he's doing right now, and the crowd response, I think, moves him to tears half the time. It's incredible.
Yeah, and that was really cool. You could tell by the reaction that he was getting in Toronto and also Monday at Raw. You can see his eyes watering up. Because here's a guy who's 48 years old and obviously near the end of his career, and he's back in the place where he had his greatest success. He's come home again, if you will, and he was back in WrestleMania, and it was a great moment.
Absolutely.
But I still go with the fact I thought Flair and Undertaker was match of the night.
Great. To see Ric Flair actually work a good psychological match again and Undertaker be a part of that, and both of them worked really well together. I was shocked. I was shocked that I was into the match the way I was.
Yeah. Hey, Cam, I'm late for news. They're going to shoot me if I don't get to this thing, so I appreciate the call.
Thanks.
Thanks, Cam. We're going to take a break. When we come back, Bill Alfonso, Raj Cox joining us here on the Wrestling Guys on the station that's a part of your life, AM 910 WPFB.
Do you know where your news is?
910 WPFB.
Middletown City Council will again look to see what may be done with downtown parking garage. I'm Dwight.
Here on the Wrestling Guys on AM 910 WPFB. My name is Shawn Stidham, and joining us tonight, our special guest, two fellows. One you know as the man who calls it right down the middle. The other one, the head of Unified Championship Wrestling. They have a show coming up this Saturday night in Dayton. I'm talking about Big Daddy Raj Cox and Fonzie, Bill Alfonso. How you doing, guys?
We're doing great.
I knew, Bill, I knew you were going to bring out the whistle, man.
I can't wait to blow it in Dayton Saturday night, Eddie.
I missed the whistle.
You missed the whistle?
I missed the whistle.
Yeah, I'm doing independence all over the country, so I don't miss it at all. It's with me 24 hours a day. Like I drive my family crazy with it.
You've been, let's talk, Bill, let's talk to you for a second, because obviously you were, most recently people saw you a lot in ECW. Since that company went down, you've been all over the place. You appeared at Pillman last year. You were a part of the WWA pay-per-view last year, so you're really going all over the place.
Yeah, I'm traveling. I'm keeping busy. I'm keeping my name out there, and unfortunately, there's only so many jobs in WWF, and I don't have one of them, but I keep in touch with RVD, and I know Vince pretty well, and who knows, you know what I mean? With the big thing coming up, they're talking about running more talents and more talent and stuff, so hopefully by keeping my name out there, I get a good spot.
You know, for the longest time, for the last 4 or 5 years, unless your last name was McMahon or you had silicone implants, you couldn't be a manager in the WWF. Now it appears it looks like Heyman's now going back to being a manager with Brock Lesnar. Rico Constantino now looks like he's going to be managing Billy and Chuck. Are you optimistic that, at least in the World Wrestling Federation, maybe they're going to give male managers a chance again?
Yeah, I think it's a phase, you know what I mean? Everybody likes the sex and violence, and that's what's been going on for the last few years. But, yeah, male managers are a good thing. Look, I proved it in ECW. I stuck it out and was a big shot there and had a great time. So now, male managers definitely hasn't lost their win.
Now, Bill, my question for you is this. If Vince McMahon came to you and said, you have to get silicone implants to be a manager in the WWF, would you do that?
For seven figures, I'll think about it.
Yeah, you can always get them cut off.
6 figures, everybody makes that, but 7 figures, I would definitely think about it.
Fonzie and Big Daddy Rod Cox joining us here on the Wrestling Guys on AM 910 WPFB. Rod, show coming up this Saturday. You've got Sabu. That's why Fonzie's coming in. What else is on the show this Saturday?
Well, we got a lot of old guys that, haven't been around for a while. Of course, our last show we ran was June of last year. We, I took a hiatus and kind of went and worked independence and, got myself back out on the field because, working with ECW, I miss it a lot, but, it took away from UCW, and I didn't have a chance to really promote it like I like to because I was gone every weekend. So, last year we brought in Tommy Dreamer and Francine around this time, so now we're bringing in, the other best, and that's Bill Alfonso and Sabu, And people not seeing Sabu in a long time here, they're pretty hyped about it.
Absolutely, and he's going to be against, I guess you got Big Jim against Sabu this Saturday.
Yeah, Big Jim, and, of course, last year he took on Tommy Dreamer, so it's going to be something to see how he can fare against Sabu. The guy, I don't know how he don't have a style. He just goes out and kicks ass. Oh, can I say that?
You already did.
Okay.
So, we're talking to Big Daddy Raj Cox and Bill Alfonso here on the Wrestling Guys. Raj, UCW for the last few years was, the most consistent promotion in Dayton.
Right.
Over the last year and a half to 2 years, I would say year and a half, really not been very active, as you said.
Not been real active, but we still put on some pretty decent shows when we run them, you know what I mean?
Well, my question to you is this. Is Unified Championship Wrestling going to be running on a more regular basis?
Right.
Are you mainly going to be running still maybe 1, 2, 3 shows a year and bringing in some major names?
Well, see, what it is, we're going to try to run at least once a month, if not twice. We're not going to just run here. We have another spot picked out in Indiana we're going to start running, and hopefully we can build up a big fan base. I'm going to drop our TV show for a while to revamp, because the TV takes away from the local shows because people can watch it at home. They won't come to the shows. You see what I'm saying? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, take a hiatus on the TV show for maybe about a month or so to rebuild. And with guys like Fonzie and Sabu and different other wrestlers coming into the area, it's a hotbed here and in Indiana. So I'm going to try to pick up the pace and start off where I left off a couple years ago.
Fonzie, you're the man who calls it right down the middle. You're the manager of champions. How do you manage Sabu? I mean, the guy isn't going to listen to anybody. What makes him listen to you?
Well, for some reason we click. We just get along. We're on the same wavelength. We want to be winners, and that's what it comes down to. Nobody can tell Sabu what to do. I have a hard time handling him, but what he does like is he likes to win, and that's what I like to do. So we got that in common, and that's what keeps us in play.
Does he let you walk his poodle?
I don't think so.
Okay, I know he's very protective of that dog.
Yes, he is.
Bill Alfonso joining us. What do you think of the WWA pay-per-view? You were obviously there. You were backstage. There were some problems at the last minute with some no-shows and people not being able to perform, like Randy Savage. Overall, what was your opinion of that company?
I'm not too sure. I mean, I don't have a 100% opinion on it. Like from 1 to 10, it's not a 10. But it's a struggling company that's just getting started. So to give them a chance, hopefully they'll give us something that we want to see.
Absolutely. Bill Alfonso and Big Daddy Raj Cox joining us here on the Wrestling Guys on AM 910 WPFB. Raj, can you give us some more of the matches that you have for this Saturday?
Yep, I've got, for the UCW Heavyweight Champion, I got Khan, our new champion, taking on the OCW new champion, and Primetime Johnny Walker. I got myself and Bobo defending tag team titles against Filthy the Clown, who's coming back to UCW.
I was going to say, he hasn't been around for some time. So.
Right, and he dropped off for a while. Now he says he's ready to get back into it. He's been working out, and him and Phil ought to give me and Bobo something, hopefully some competition, I want to look good in front of Fonzie.
I bet you do.
Hey, yeah, you will, Raj, brother. I am looking forward. I can't stand it. I'm just pounding.
Fonzie, are you looking to increase your stable? Maybe signing Raj and some of the others?
Yeah, but anytime I see some good talent, I always surround myself by good talent. So
Let me tell you,
never know.
in Schenectady, New York, I was talking to Fonzie in a joking way, but I said, Fonzie, I want you to manage me. You know what Fonzie told me?
What's that?
Drop down and give me 25 push-ups right now.
Did you do it?
I kind of walked off. At the time, I was like 330 pounds. I wasn't ready for one push-up, let alone 25.
Yeah, you were big back then, man.
Yeah.
To be a winner, you got to be in shape. That's for sure in this business. You got to be one step ahead of everybody else because there's only so many jump slots out there.
That's
you know
right.
What I mean?
That's right. And, you know, I'm down to 276. When I first started, I was 412. You know, so 276. I think that's coming along pretty far. But
that's not. But what are you like doing the Subway thing or what?
No, I eat, man. I gotta have real food. You know, I can't do no bread and cheese. I gotta have some meat in there somewhere.
Gotcha.
You know, but yeah, like I said, you know, Fonzie, you know, we had a lot of stories from the highway. You know, we was in Louisiana and being a part of Atlas, we lived kind of hard, and we was in Louisiana, and Fonzie comes to our room one night, and he knocked on the door. They asked where we got food from, and it was like 5 of us piled up in there, and he said, "Hey, Daddy, you guys living hard." So, you know, we had a great time. You know, like I said, you know, it was a great time, and now it's time for me to focus on UCW, and with help from guys like, you know, Mr. Alfonso and Sabu and other wrestlers, and, you know, from locally, Big Jim, Cons, everybody here to put on a great show. You know, hopefully we can rebuild the, you know, UCW like we want to.
Rod, I think you're doing a great thing. I mean, people like me and Sabu, we can't wait to come in Dayton, Ohio, right downtown of a big show Saturday night. Kick it off with a bang, Eddie.
Right, and you know, Ron Moreland, one of the guys that's helping sponsor the show, he's at the Huber Heights White Castles right now from 7 to 10, and he's going to be giving away tickets, buy one, get one free for a special for like a couple hours, you know what I mean?
Right.
To help the ticket sales and stuff like that, but ticket sales are going good, and
where can you buy tickets at, Rod?
You can get them at Gem City Records.
And that's downtown Dayton, right by the Oregon District.
Oregon District, right on 5th Street, and you know, the tickets will be on sale there until Friday night. Saturday morning, you have to pay $12, so you have to buy them at the door.
All right, but tickets are available at the door.
Tickets are available at the door for $12, and if you get them in advance, you get a couple bucks off just like anywhere else, you know.
Well, that's not bad.
So, you know, it's a good price, and like I said, you're going to see one heck. We got some surprises ourselves, and we don't have any people on cheat sheets, you know, to talk about it. So, we got a couple of big surprises for UCW and the fans that's coming out.
Well, I know you guys have had a pretty good fan base over the years,
right.
And I know a lot of people are looking forward to seeing if you guys can pull it off again.
Right.
Fonzie, let me ask you a couple things before we wrap things up here. Talking about ECW, so many people love that company. And, you know, there's been, you kind of see around the country where some organizations are trying to use some of that talent maybe to try and start another company. Can anybody ever recreate what was ECW?
I don't think so. I think that, you know, ECW built itself one step at a time, and there was a market out there for hardcore entertainment, and we grabbed it, and that just grew and grew and grew and grew. But unfortunately, you know, we were making $20 million a year, but spending $25 million a year, and unfortunately we were bankrupt. But there's companies out there that are young, and like Rogers doing these independent, which I call them, are doing great. I mean, they don't have the national TV yet, but you know, being local and running downtown Dayton, Ohio, and doing good and paying the guys and entertaining people. Yeah, there's plenty of small companies out there. I shouldn't say small, but plenty of companies out there that are doing a great job, you know, entertaining people.
And give it real quick your thoughts on a guy you used to manage, Rob Van Dam.
I think Rob Van Dam is doing a phenomenal job. They're holding him back in WWF. But the guy's a superstar. There's only one Rob Van Dam, and I managed him for a while, and one day I'm going to be back with him, I'm sure. You
know what the best thing about RVD is that when he went into the World Wrestling Federation, he got over not because of a gimmick or a good catchphrase, but he went out there those first couple of matches he had against Jeff Hardy when he brought him in after the invasion, and won the fans over because of what he could do between the ropes. And I think that's just a great testament to his ability. And you're right, they're kind of holding back a little bit. I know a few weeks back they actually edited out some of the RVD chants during one of his tape matches. So now he's the Intercontinental Champion, and I got a feeling that either next year or the year after he's probably going to be main eventing at WrestleMania because I don't think they're going to be able to hold him back.
Oh, I'm sure. I am 100% sure this kid is phenomenal. There's only one RVD and there's only one Sabu. And Sabu will be live in Dayton Saturday night. I wouldn't miss it if I were you.
Let's run it down again real quick. Saturday night.
The 798 Union Hall.
Formerly the 801.
Formerly the 801. Right next door to the Convention Center. Not hard to find. You can see all the great stars of UCW. Mr. Alfonso, Sabu, Big Daddy, Handsome Stranger, Johnny Matrix. Slash is coming back, was formerly known as Hot Thing.
Right.
Big Brother Almighty Khan. The whole roster. We're hyped up. We're ready for it. And we also got live viewer call-in Friday at 7 p.m. on DATV Channel 20 and surrounding areas Channel 23 also. So that starts at 7. You can call and talk to Fonzie live as he comes in today early Friday for the show.
Well, a lot of people looking forward to it. I'm going to be out there Saturday night. Raj, Fonzie, I'll see you too. Nice to have you on the show again. Appreciate that.
Great to be here, Daddy.
Raj, nice to have you again. Good luck to you.
Thanks, John, for the help with the promoting of the show and everything, man. You can be our guest MC.
Anything I can do, you let me know. I'll see you Saturday night, guys.
All right, take it easy, guys.
All right, appreciate it, guys. Bill Alfonso, Big Daddy Raj Cox, and again, Unified Championship Wrestling this Saturday at the 798 Union Hall in downtown Dayton, and should be a good time. Sabu, homicidal, suicidal, genocidal coming to town, and you can see him Saturday night. We'll take a break. More after this on The Wrestling Guys on AM 910 WPFB.
It starts with your stuffy nose and spreads till your head feels all blocked up. Your body feels stiff and achy. That's how you feel when you have a bad cold, all blocked up.
Introducing new Alka-Seltzer Plus, the only cold medicine with a new effervescent cold-fighting formula to break up nasal congestion and release you from your worst cold misery. New effervescent Alka-Seltzer Plus breaks up your worst cold. Use as directed.
If you're one of the millions of American drivers who suffer from seasonal allergies, beware. Many allergy medications have cautions while driving. Today, more than half of the states in the U.S. have laws against driving if you have taken a drug that impairs your performance, even if you do not realize it at the time. Patients should heed warnings on all product labels that suggest using caution when driving after taking sedating medications, including allergy medications. If you suffer from seasonal allergies, ask your doctor about Allegra, fexofenadine hydrochloride, an antihistamine that is non-impairing while driving. Fexofenadine is a unique ingredient that combats your seasonal allergy symptoms, itchy, watery eyes, plus sneezing and runny nose. But unlike many over-the-counter allergy medications, Allegra won't make you drowsy. For people 12 and older, side effects are low and may include cold or flu, nausea, and menstrual pain. For additional important information, see the ad in Health Magazine. Log on to www.allegra.com or call 1-800-ALLEGRA.
Here 910 WPFB forecast for the Zindane corridor. Tonight cloudy, patch against fog possible low 5. Thursday partly cloudy, chance of snow showers late. Snow may begin as rain, high around 50. Right now it's 49. How's your ride going to be into work tomorrow morning? Well, we'll let you know with traffic loss twice an hour, 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. here on 910 WPFB.
And now back to Wrestling Guys on the station that's a part of your life, AM 910 WPFB.
Back on The Wrestling Guys, AM 910 WPFB. My name is Shawn Stidham. I want to thank Bill Alfonso and Big Daddy Raj Cox for joining us for a few moments. Again, Saturday night, UCW downtown Dayton, and tickets available at Gem City Records in the Oregon District. Let's go to the phone lines. Andy joins us on The Wrestling Guys from Kettering. Andy, how you doing?
Not too bad. I'll tell you what, Rod sounds like he's on some Decker 2 right now, maybe. But
he might be. He went from 412 to 276.
I saw Rod just at the HWA show. He's looking pretty good.
Do you think he's actually lost that much weight, or is he trying to BS us a little bit?
Well, I don't know. I've seen him on TV, and you know how they say TV gains you 15 pounds, I think it is. So he looks about the same.
All right.
But I wanted to ask you a question.
Okay.
I think I might even stump you with this.
You might stump me. Well, we'll see what we can do.
Okay, you know the WWF had the funny cartoon with Gary Tolliver.
Yeah, okay.
They had a lot of press about it on TV.
Right, because he had like the Triple H car and all that, yeah.
Triple H, Undertaker, China, all the cars. That team, the racing team, folded because they lost a sponsor. And I'm wanting to know, from my side of it, I know that team, after 1999, quit performing as well as they could have. Kind of like Goldust did, you know how that was. But I'm wondering if you think it was from the WWF maybe losing money or just the way the team ran for the reasons they pulled the sponsorship.
I would guess it's because WWF is losing money. You got to remember last year, hello, sounding like a stuttering John here. You have to remember that with the XFL, they lost a ton of money out of that. Advertising across the board in every industry was down after September 11th, well, before September 11th and after 9/11. Advertising was down, so my guess is that they decided that was not a good return on their investment, on their advertising dollars, and they decided to go with something else.
Because every time I went to the races last year, that was one of the biggest draws in the pit area was that team, because you get your free WWF merchandise, and the drivers are real good about being out there. You can talk to them, and I just wondered why a team like that would get pulled. But
well, I mean, you take a look at NASCAR right now, kind of getting off of wrestling a little bit, but if you take a look at NASCAR, a lot of drivers have lost their sponsorship because corporations are cutting back in advertising dollars, and certainly I don't think, obviously if the team was more successful or if funny car racing was more of an attraction, obviously the World Wrestling Federation would probably still have a team. But if a team's not performing well, they're not getting their logo on Sports Center or some of the nightly news, not getting it in the paper because they're not winning like some of the other teams, then they'll lose their sponsorship. It's just the nature of the beast.
And one other thing I had to bring out.
Yeah.
People that should go to their area Meyer store. Mine is on Wilmington Pike. They have a lot of WWF merchandise, like the Titantron, the talking Titantron thing. Do you remember that?
Are you talking like the toys and stuff?
Yeah.
Okay.
And the Stone Cold Interactive CD-ROM thing, and they have a lot of that stuff really marked down for like $4, and stuff that was like $50 one time.
All right, good. Thanks for the advice. I know Meyer appreciates the free plug, so thanks, Andrew.
Thank you later.
Thank you. Talk to you later. If you want to hop on board, we got a few minutes before we head out of here tonight. 866-910-WPFB, 866-910-9732. Remind you of a couple things. The Wrestling Guys hotline, available to you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week by calling 937-285-0991. And, you do not have to pay $3 a minute. Long-distance charges may apply, but you can give that a call 24/7 for your latest wrestling news. A couple of other stories I want to touch on. First of all, The Rock looks like he's going to be headed back to Saturday Night Live. April the 13th, he will be doing that, and apparently in conjunction with promoting the Scorpion King movie. And his first appearance there got rave reviews, and you may want to check that one out for yourself. Very touching story on WWF.com. And I highly recommend you go there and check this out. Referee Charles Robinson, who you might remember is as Little Nate. He's was part of Ric Flair back in WCW. Behind the scenes, it's real life. Ric Flair March has a ton of Ric Flair memorabilia in his home. Charles Robinson has not worked for the last few weeks for the World Wrestling Federation because his wife Amy had surgery to remove stomach cancer about a month ago. Tragically, they have found out that the cancer has returned and it's not operable. Doctors apparently have given Amy weeks or months to live. Now, despite this, Amy went with Charles this past Sunday so that he could referee the match between Ric Flair, admittedly his idol, and one of his good friends, and The Undertaker. Now, over the next, nobody knows exactly what's going to be coming up in the future, but the World Wrestling Federation has given their full support behind Charles Robinson, and it's a really touching story. And I applaud the World Wrestling Federation for the way they're handling this with him. And again, go to WWF.com and check it out for yourself. Let's go to the phone lines. Welcome to the Wrestling Guys. Who's this?
John.
Hey, John. How are you?
Pretty good.
Good. What's up, man?
As you were talking about the story with Val, they put out the press week about wrestling websites.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. Is there any certain sites they were talking about, or is there any wrestlers that are known to leak out stories to sources like that?
There was no website specifically mentioned. And they didn't name any wrestlers. And I know, for example, I know Perry Saturn about a year ago, I guess, was under some heat because there were people that thought that he was leaking out some stuff, which I don't think turned out to be true. But there was nobody specifically mentioned. I know the World Wrestling Federation, and obviously, they don't want to come right out. I wouldn't, you don't want to come right out and say, hey, this is going to happen, because there is a surprise element to it. But at the same time, they talk out of both sides of the mouth. Some things they come right out and say, hey, we have a split coming up, or this guy won the title at SmackDown, you need to watch it. And then other things, it just, you really don't know exactly how to deal with them. I think they're just trying to really control anything that deals with that company, and that includes the media, which I don't think they're going to be able to do.
Okay.
Anything else?
Nope.
Hey, John, appreciate it. Thank you very much. 866-910-WPFB, 866-910-WPFB, toll-free phone call. We've got about a minute or two left in the program. What I was talking about, to recap some of the news stories, the World Wrestling Federation sent out an open letter today via their website, WWF.com, to wrestling newsletters and websites saying that they would no longer, they're going to notify their associates and fans that information in these publications is without comment and verification from the World Wrestling Federation, something which is just very odd and reeks of paranoia. Raw this past Monday did a 5.3 rating, much improved from the company's recent 4.5 and 4.7. Didn't mention this earlier. Chris Benoit is coming to Cincinnati He's going to be with the Heartland Wrestling Association when they have their float in the Cincinnati Reds opening day parade. Now, Benoit's rehabbing from a neck surgery, and he's expected to do some work with the HWA, although nothing's done at this time as far as if and when and in what shows he might appear at, but Benoit will be at the Cincinnati Reds opening day parade. A couple of other quick stories. This past Sunday, WrestleMania was the highest grossing gate in the history of the company, just over $6.1 million. Rico Constantino debuts as a manager for Billy and Chuck this Thursday on SmackDown. Also, congratulations going out to Brock Lesnar, another OVW talent who was called up this past Monday, and if you saw, he'll be managed by Paul Heyman. Big Show's headed over to the UK. WWF, the Raw team, is going to be touring the UK this coming May, and so the Big Show's headed over there tomorrow to do some promotion for that. And that is just about all of my time. Again, want to thank Big Daddy Rod Cox and Bill Alfonso for joining me tonight. Again, they will be in action this Saturday, along with Sabu, Homicidal, Suicidal, Genocidal, at the 798 Union Hall in downtown Dayton. And tickets are available at Gym City Records. Bell time, I think, is 7 o'clock, so I'm going out there. Hopefully I'll see some of you out there as well. And that's all my time for another week. Again, thanks to Big Daddy Rod Cox, thanks to Bill Alfonso, Fonzie. Hopefully he doesn't bring the whistle, but I got a feeling he's going to. And again, real quick, the Wrestling Guys hotline, 937-285-0991. That's my music. I'm done for another week. Have a great week. Talk to you next Wednesday here on the station that's a part of your life, AM 910 WPFB.
Making their way into the studio, the tag team champions of Talk Radio, the Wrestling Guys.
A terrific Wednesday evening to you. My name is Shawn Stidham. Welcome to the Wrestling Guys on AM 910 WPFB. We have a lot of things to get into on this Wednesday night. We want to get your thoughts on the draft, the brand extension from this past week, and your thoughts on that. Did you like the draft? Did you feel like that Raw had a better roster? Did you feel like SmackDown did a better job? Let us know. Our toll-free number tonight, 866-910-WPFB. 866-910-9732. Jay-Z back in the house answering the phones for me tonight, and I appreciate that, so make sure, give him some kind of hard time when you call in. Tonight, we're also going to talk about the situation involving Stone Cold Steve Austin. Over the last week and a half, Stone Cold Steve Austin has been AWOL from the World Wrestling Federation. We'll get into the reasons why, and if you want to comment on that, of course, you can do so as well. Again, my name is Shawn Stidham. This is the Wrestling Guys on AM 910 WPFB. Let's go ahead and get you up to date with the latest in the wrestling world. Raw this past Monday night garnered its highest rating since August, a 5.4 rating with hours of 5.1 and 5.7. Last week, Raw did a 5.3, its highest rating in months. Of course, a lot of that was thought to be because coming out of WrestleMania and the thought of having Hulk Hogan and The Rock and everything on there the day after WrestleMania. But this last week, with the brand extension draft, got its highest rating since August. Tomorrow night on the Bill O'Reilly Show on Fox News, Linda McMahon's going to be a guest on that. Not really sure what that's going to cover. Also on 4 o'clock on Friday, Chuck and Billy, the World Wrestling Federation Tag Team Champions, will be the guest on WWF Bite This. The latest involving Scott Steiner possibly joining the World Wrestling Federation continues to center around his drop foot syndrome. Apparently, the World Wrestling Federation want Big Papa Pump to see a neurologist to determine whether or not surgery could help his situation. Now, Steiner, up to this point, has only been using physical therapy. However, that may keep him from joining the World Wrestling Federation, so we'll continue to update you on that. Yesterday, the World Wrestling Federation's Forcible Entry CD debuted, sold just over 100,000 copies, which should land it in the top 10 whenever those rankings come out later this week. Lita is going to appear on the season finale of Fox's television show Dark Angel, and that's going to be on May the 3rd. She's going to miss the next couple of weeks of WWF action so she can tape that finale, where she plays a character named Thula. Jay-Z, have you ever heard of anybody named Thula? Jay-Z's not answering me. That's all right, though. Again, our toll-free number tonight, 866-910-WPFB. Tonight, and I don't think anybody in Maryland can hear this show, but tonight in Maryland Championship Wrestling, Steve Wilkos is going to make his professional wrestling debut. Now you're wondering, who's Steve Wilkos? Steve Wilkos is the man in charge of security on the Jerry Springer Show. Now apparently this is only going to be a one-shot deal tonight, but if you know anything about the Jerry Springer Show, you know there's been some crossover with wrestling in the past. The Iron Sheik has appeared on there, as well as other indie professional wrestlers. So that's some crossover. And, of course, this guy is used to breaking up fights. Now it'll be interesting to see how he does when he's actually in a fight. SmackDown tomorrow night. Quick preview of what you will see includes Diamond Dallas Page against Booker T. Billy and Chuck take on the Dudley Boys with the World Wrestling Federation Tag Team titles on the line. Also tomorrow night, Y2J Chris Jericho against Matt Hardy. Maven versus Raven. Can't even write that. Never mind. Rob Van Dam takes on Test for the Intercontinental title. The Rock will team up with Hulk Hogan and Kane to battle in the New World Order. And also Ric Flair and Triple H in a tag team match against Vince McMahon and Kurt Angle. Tomorrow night, SmackDown will be the final show featuring both sets of WWF rosters, both Raw and SmackDown, before the split happens beginning next week. Again, our toll-free number, 866-910-WPFB. Let's go to the phone line first and talk to Andy. You're on the Wrestling Guys on AM 910 WPFB. What's up, Andrew?
Hey, how you doing, Shawn?
Doing fine. Yourself?
Not too bad. Just wanting to comment on the draft, and I haven't been off work for more than 10 minutes the past few days, so I actually haven't even seen Raw yet.
Now, Andy, you call in every week. We know you really don't have a life, so you really don't need to do anything else but work. Otherwise, you would get yourself in some serious trouble.
Well, yeah, but anyway, might as well make money instead of being lazy.
Absolutely.
But here's my thing. When WCW and the WWF were separate, it was interesting to think of the matches of, the stars who had not faced each other.
Right.
Now everybody in the company has faced each other, so what's the point of thinking about it? So I think it's going to take maybe 2 or 3 years before take The Undertaker and Kevin Nash. Now that was probably a house show main event 8 out of 9 nights in 1996. After you don't see it for a few years, you want to see it again. So I think it might take a few years before the interest fills back up before, seeing some of these guys work together.
No, and that's a good point. A couple problems right now with the draft. First of all, on paper, SmackDown has a very loaded roster compared to Raw. You take a look at Vince McMahon with SmackDown. Most people would think that with The Rock and Kurt Angle and Chris Benoit and Hulk Hogan and Edge, and you have Maven, who's a big fan favorite, and Chris Jericho's on the SmackDown roster, that he would have the better of the rosters. When you look at Raw, you see The Undertaker, you see the New World Order, you see Kane, you see Booker T. Granted, you have Rob Van Dam, but for the most part, I think most people like the SmackDown roster better than the Raw roster. Problem is, a number of cities in the United States still do not have a UPN affiliate. St. Louis, which is a huge wrestling town, will not have an avenue to watch SmackDown. So the thought now is that Excess on Saturday night will become kind of a SmackDown recap show or a Vince McMahon show, while Sunday Night Heat would become a Ric Flair show. Who knows?
What I'm looking forward to seeing is, ESPN has their bottom line on ESPN2?
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to see Booker T signed by SmackDown for $4.6 million deal or something like that.
I don't think that's going to happen. What is going to be interesting, though, is they still have not yet made clear what's going to happen whenever Triple H or Jazz would lose their championship. Are they going to become a free agent, or are they going to go to the roster of whoever beat them? Like, for example, Backlash. The main event right now looks like it's going to be The Undertaker against Triple H. Undertaker's on the Raw roster. If he defeats Triple H, does Triple H automatically, by default, go join Monday Night Raw?
And what else I'm wondering about is what happens when a independent guy signs, like, name somebody in the HWA. Who do they sign with?
Well, exactly. How are they going to be brought in? We've heard for a long time that some of the cruiserweights are going to be called up. Rey Mysterio Jr. and Eddie Guerrero are both going to, Rey's already signed. Eddie looks like he's going to sign. They're going to be with the World Wrestling Federation. It's not really clear how they're going to be brought in, or how, if the Island Boys are brought up, or if, whoever, if Steve Bradley's brought up. How are they going to be worked in? Are they going to be treated as a free agent signing, or what? So there's still a lot of questions that need to be answered. I think that Stone Cold Steve Austin not being there this past week threw a wrench into things. Originally, he was going to be the number one pick of Ric Flair. That got switched around. It's also going to be very interesting to see what they do with the Dudley Boys and the APA, if in fact they're going to leave them split up and try and push them as a singles, or if there's going to be some kind of trade to bring them back together.
Yeah, I could see something like that happening. And I also see maybe some kind of a point system happening.
A point system?
Yeah, I was thinking about this, the first SmackDown video game where it had the ranking and you had your points on it.
Okay.
That'd be interesting, I think, if they brought some kind of a win-loss record, almost like, a baseball team.
And now you're making it too complicated.
Yeah.
The AWA actually tried that in the late 80s. They had a 3-team competition where they had standings and everything else. And, of course, by that time, the AWA was botching everything they did, and, of course, they did that, too. You never know. I mean, they went with the draft. Maybe they'll have some more innovations down the road.
I am no Shawn. I can sit all day and add numbers up on people, so.
Andy, go back to work.
Hey, I'm off tonight.
Oh, jeez. Well, you'll do something productive. Don't, sit around and come up with numbers. Go jog or something.
I'm an evil genius, aren't I?
Among other words I could use, yes. Andy, appreciate the phone call. Take care, man.
All right, bye.
All right. If you want to come in and chime in with your thoughts, 866-910-WPFB. We're going to take a break. This is the Wrestling Guys on the station that's a part of your life, AM 910 WPFB.
This is Frank Farmer Loomis, your antiques expert, with the antique of the day.
It starts with your stuffy nose and spreads till your head feels all blocked up. Your body feels stiff and achy. That's how you feel when you have a bad cold.
And now back to the Wrestling Guys on the station that's a part of your life, AM 910 WPFB.
Back here on the Wrestling Guys on AM 910 WPFB. My name is Shawn Stidham. Now, some of you out there are longtime listeners of this show. We've been around for, we've had like our three-year anniversary. And it's been a long time since we've heard from this next guy. I thought he was dead. I thought he got splatted on the side of the road somewhere. But, and I'm speechless. Ladies and gentlemen, the Spanish Fly.
Hey, man!
Fly, what has happened to you?
Well, funny thing, did you know it's illegal to raise a goat farm in Xenia?
I somehow never got into goats, and I must have missed that bylaw.
I mean, it was on the courthouse lawn, but I guess they don't think too highly of that. So I had to go, hide out down in Mexico for a while.
Yeah, I understand. You were undercover, so to speak.
So, while I was down there, I started up a tour.
A tour?
Go across the border, show some of the natives what America's like. But the funny thing was, the bus was always empty when I came back. Jumped off and left.
How much did you charge for this tour, Fly?
3 beers.
3 beers? All right. That's cheap for you, dude.
What's been happening in wrestling? I don't know if you know, but down in Mexico, we've all been on strike from wrestling.
Really? The luchadors are out, huh?
Yes, until this Spanish announce table thing stops. No Spaniard will watch wrestling.
So you feel like because the Spanish announcing team table gets destroyed at every World Wrestling Federation pay-per-view, that you being a native Spaniard is being discriminated against?
Yes. I mean, they're targeting us, man. Yes, let's make fun of the Mexicans. Why not?
So you're boycotting wrestling.
That's over. They wouldn't answer any of my calls.
They won't answer mine either. That's okay. What else is on your mind? Did you like the draft this past Monday?
What are you talking about? I haven't listened to wrestling in a year and a half.
The World Wrestling Federation had their draft Monday?
I did call the hotline, and I heard a bunch of WWS stuff, but where's the WCW, man?
They're gone, Fly.
Where'd they go? They went down to Mexico, too.
Vince bought them. Yeah, they actually took the reverse trip. They actually went to Mexico and didn't come back on the bus.
Okay.
Yeah.
I get it now.
Yeah. Hey, but Rey Mysterio Jr. is coming to the WWF. You should be happy about that.
Oh.
Ray.
Whoopsie crap.
And Conan. Well, Conan's not coming to the WWF, but, he may.
They might be Latino, but they still suck.
I got ya. Fly, anything else?
No, I think that's about it. It's about 6 o'clock, so I'm going to start on my second case now.
All right, well, try and, you can call in more than just once every 8 months, so.
I'll try to if, they don't mind me raising a sheep farm over on the courthouse lawn.